So let's go with a simple and short video today. And this guy really needs no introduction. Let's get started. So we have a very simple project for today. And as you can see, the parts list coming up, it is the Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. All I did was add some shadows. I acquired a custom head sculpt from 1/12 Customs and I painted it. And then the cape is a custom cape that I made. I actually made 4 capes for this. I sold one and I replaced it with the 4th one I have. And of course the grapnel. I replaced that ridiculous grapnel that is just useless. And I replaced it with a wired grapnel. It's just so much more posability on that, so it's added play value. But let's get started on what is done on this figure. Como ven, esta es la figura que tenemos para hoy. No requiere mucha introducción y tampoco requiere muchos arreglos. Sencillamente lo que hice es reemplazar el rostro con un custom que adquirí con 1/12 Customs y una capa que hice custom, y de hecho hice 4, vendí una, me quedé con la 4ª. Entonces también puse unas sombras de relieve a la figura. Vamos a ver lo que resultó. Now, as with any custom figure you're working on, disassembling is going to be key. You can use your hot water, your hair dryer, whichever is your preference. The important thing is to take it apart, especially if you're going to cut into these joints that you see here to give it more mobility. And of course, it just makes it easier to paint. Now, to me, it really doesn't make a difference. I don't do the extreme posing, but if you do need it, these are the cuts that you need to make. You take a Dremel, go inside the socket underneath the chest emblem and carve out a notch toward the front. Now the figure is already very tight at the front, so if you do any painting, this still will rub and it will rub the paint off. So that's why I am only doing slight shading on this figure. I did make these cuts. Does it make a significant difference? To me it really doesn't. To some others it may. So this is what you'll need to do if that is something that is necessary for your figure display. You'll have to do this on the top of the torso and the abs, which you see here. Now you can either pull out that ball socket or that pin and Dremel it in, and also, or you can just reposition or replace your cutting edge on your Dremel and also cut that. You'll have to cut the top and the bottom. And the bottom here is where the breeze will lock into. You'll have to cut the back of it and at the front. And just a slight notch. Any further may make it too loose, or it's going to show when you make those poses. This is the head portrait that I chose and painted, and it is a Mezco size portrait. The Mcfarlane figurehead is a lot smaller than this. Now this is the Batarang. It's obviously pre-molded. It's very, well, it's stiff. It's really not very, it's not full of play value. So I replaced it with a wired one. So I took a lanyard, ripped out the insides, these are the insides of it, and then I ran a wire through the center and I super glued it to the actual grapnel that you see there. And it's just so much nicer to be able to put it in the position that you want for the pose that is required. So much more play value when it's something like this. Lo más importante es tener un gancho que tiene más valor. Y uno que tiene más valor es uno que tiene alambre. Así es que reemplazas el que es de plástico con uno de alambre para que puedas moldearlo y fijarlo en la pose que tú necesitas. Y este cordón que ves aquí, sencillamente le quitas lo que está al centro, lo dejas hueco y lo llenas entonces con un alambre. En este caso es un calibre 26. I've got an entire video dedicated to cape making, so you can reference that video. I here will only show you the basics of what I did for this particular cape. In this case, this is a cape made of cotton. This is the smaller one, and I added lots of pleating to it because cotton holds really well. However, cotton also frays very easy, and you'll have to reinforce those edges with a sealant or some sort of a starch so that the cotton does not fray. Now, I did make 4 capes for this figure. In the end, I sold one of those, and I tossed the other 2, and I made a 4th one, which I made out of a pleather that is a matte finish. And to what I like to see, it fits the figure that much better. It's more manageable, it doesn't take that much real estate on the shelf, and it's really easy to pose. Now this is the cloth cape once you pleat it, and yes, the pleats are made with an iron, one at a time. You blow it on one of them, the rest of them are going to be off. So yes, it takes time, it's tedious, but it looks really nice once it's done. Again, you will have to reinforce that bottom edge where the scallops are with a sealant. This is what it looks like. This is, well, 2 of the capes. The one on the left is the one I actually sold, and it's also made of cotton. Now it does have the reinforced edges as I mentioned, but you see how it folds over in the back, while that same one in cotton on the right hand side is a small one, and there's not enough material there to fold it over. It only covers the back over the shoulders. It looks okay. I like the one on the left, but still, the one I ended up choosing was the 4th one, and it looks, in my opinion, that much better. This is what the cape looks like with the pleats. This is actually the one that I sold. It looks good, don't get me wrong, but it really isn't to what I want to see. This is what I want to see, a cape that is easy to display, that has little maintenance like this one, and this is pleather. It is a matte finish. I got it at Joann's Fabrics, and as you can tell, it is a medium. It is not an overly large cape. Anything larger than this is incredibly difficult to balance and maintain a shelf space. This is easy to pose. There's 5 wires total. It is glued down around the neck, and it is a stretch pleather. So it does stretch around the neck. So I don't have to cut out a large opening. A small opening is sufficient. Because it stretches, it will conform itself to the figure itself, and it's easy to glue and hold down. As mentioned before, this is a very simple video, very quick. Your take on this may be totally different, like the belt. You might want it a brighter yellow. I left it just the way it is, with just a few added touches of detail. Now, I will leave you with a final video of what the product looks like in its final stage, along with a last look at all 3 Batmen together. Finalmente, este es el resultado de la capa, la 4ª capa que hice y utilicé para este Batman. Y como ven, como es una capa mediana, es mucho más fácil de manejarla, de darle la pose, porque Cuando son muy grandes ocupan demasiado espacio en tu repisa y entonces estorban la vista de otros. En este caso, tengo aquí 5 alambres que le dan la posibilidad de ponerlo en la pose que quiero. En este caso está pegada con resistol alrededor del cuello. Como la capa se estira, entonces se puede ajustar al cuello y pegar fácilmente. Los voy a dejar por último con un video del producto ya terminado y una vista al final con los 3 Batman todos juntos. Nos vemos a la siguiente. Y no se te olvide comentar, ponerle un like y suscribirte a este canal. Hasta pronto.